Hey guys, what's up? It's Cynicalex, and we finally got the event quest in-game for the upcoming Endgame update. So it's very exciting to know for certain, or almost for certain, that the update is going to land after this event quest is over, which puts us on track for April 23rd. And I want to talk a lot about the event quest and the event shop, but first I just want to do a really quick PSA. I know these things sometimes drum up more drama than they're worth mentioning, but in this case I do want to say don't post any spoilers for Endgame. I know there's been some sort of leak, there's some sort of like 5-minute video going around. Don't message anyone with the spoilers. Don't send screenshots or videos or text details of what happened. Nobody cares about spoilers, and if they do care about spoilers, they can go on their own and find out. You don't have to tell someone, unless they're completely incapable of using the internet by themselves, and then how are you going to communicate with them in the first place? So it shouldn't be up to you whether someone else finds out about the movie. If they want to find out about the movie before it's released, let them do that, and just keep that shit to yourself, and don't bother spoiling anything, because I really don't want to know, and I don't think anyone else on the channel wants to know either. Thank you for listening, and for everybody else who's not spoiling things, thank you so much for being a decent human being. Now, moving on to the actual event quest. The 23rd of April seems very likely at this point to be the actual update, so we're pretty much confirmed at this point that we don't have to wait until the 30th, which is amazing. Additionally, we have the token that was data mined, so that one is either Ronan's uniform, or as I think of it, Thanos' uniform with the shield and the colors there. The event quest missions that you have to complete are all quite straightforward, but they have Alliance battle and Timeline battle this time, so that's pretty interesting. In total, you've got 80 tokens per day for 7 days. That's 560 tokens. And what do you get with your tokens, Chuck? Well, you'll be competing for the lovely prize of lots of Avengers Biometrics, which is quite intriguing. Additionally, we'll go back and talk about that in a bit. We've got Nordstones and Gear Up Kits, which are generally bad purchases in terms of the value in tokens that you're exchanging for the amount of Gear Up Kits. Like, you can farm more Gear Up Kits by spending 40 energy on the Human Torch or Thing missions in the Fantastic Four Epic Quest than you can from just doing this. So generally speaking, these two are pretty dog shit, but these two over here on the end, energy and hidden tickets, are actually quite good. They're particularly good for veterans who have stockpiled Avengers Biometrics, but even for, newer players, hidden tickets are always good. You get an extra item every time, even if it's just a 2-star obelisk or some extra biometrics for the special mission character. You can also put those hidden tickets towards hidden routes to unlock Dormammu or unlock, the CTP of Destruction or CTP of Authority in the new quest missions. So these are always pretty good. But the big talk of the town, I think, is going to be these 4 biometrics. The majority of the time, not 100% of the time, but the majority of the time, when a character gets biometrics in an event shop before an update, it means that you're going to need those biometrics for the update. Now, I'm no genius. I'm kind of a Marvel Future Fight genius, but I'm kind of also an idiot when it comes to Marvel Future Fight. I forget stuff. All of these characters have no other means of using their biometrics except for new uniforms. The 2 of these characters already have their tier 3. It's speculated that 1 or 2 of these other characters could get their tier 3, so it's possible that we could see 3 tier 3s with Black Widow, Hulk, and Thanos. I'm pretty much in the Thanos tier 3 bandwagon at this point, so I'm assuming he's a guarantee, but whether we get other tier 3s at all is kind of still up in the air. We could get Nebula, we could get Hulk, we could get Black Widow, we could get all 3. I don't know. I don't want to get too crazy with the speculation, because I've seen people throwing around like 6 tier 3s, 10 tier 3s. I really don't think Netmarble has the time to do that many new animations and that many new stat boosts and all the calculations. They barely got it right when they did 1. They generally don't get it right when they do 2. RIP Spider-Man tier 3 and Iron Man tier 3. So hopefully, if there is more than 1 tier 3, they are all good enough, balanced, powerful, but not too powerful, but also not shitty, a la Ant-Man, Iron Man, Spider-Man, etc. But as far as who you should choose from these biometrics, I think you're probably best off going for Hulk. He's the only non-farmable character out of the 4. Beyond Hulk, I would say Black Widow is probably a better option just because there's a slightly smaller chance that Captain America and Iron Man get new uniforms. They could still get new uniforms, but Black Widow, in terms of the power level, Captain America is #1 out of these 4 characters by a long shot. It's like 1, and then we drop down to like 20. And 20 is where you have Iron Man, and then a little further down at 30, you've got Hulk and Black Widow pretty close together. But because of that, I would assume that there's more of a guarantee that Hulk gets a uniform because he's just been out of the meta for so long. The last time he got a uniform was 2017 with Ragnarok. I think Netmarble realizes that there's plenty of Hulk fans that they can profit off of if they bring out a new uniform and possibly a tier 3, and that generally speaking, we are huge fans of Hulk. Black Widow, in a smaller way, she never really got the spotlight in Infinity War that Captain America and Iron Man did, despite the fact that she's an OG Avenger. They got their tier 3. Spider-Man got his tier 3. Ant-Man got his tier 3. A lot of people are giving love to Hawkeye now because of Ronin. But then you just have Black Widow standing there in the corner. So I would put my bets, I would put my money on Hulk. Additionally, I would recommend that if you haven't yet used your 6-star selector that we talked about yesterday briefly, that you got from the 30-day login, the kind of anniversary login event, that you consider using it on Hulk. Sorry about that, the cats were fighting. In the case of Hulk, it's quite difficult to get his biometrics. So I would recommend, if you need those 256, to start stockpiling for a possible uniform. I only have about 145 right now, so I'm actually going to take the investment seriously and personally. Additionally, if you're in emergency mode and you absolutely need to get more Hulk bios ASAP, you can hit up the legendary battle for Thor. Now, I love the legendary battles. I play them every single day. You should too, because the rewards are actually pretty good. You can get, 150,000 gold per day if you hit the gold reward 5 times. Of course, as long as you're getting a mythic chest. But you can also get Hulk bios. Now, it's not a guarantee. Of course, you could play it every day, 5 times a day from now until the update, and not get any Hulk bios, but you could get Hulk bios. So you should definitely do that. You can also get a crit bio. So instead of 5, it'll kind of duplicate up to 50 bios. So it's either 5 or 50. So you could get lucky, and you could end up, a couple hundred up on Hulk if you get super lucky and it lands on him multiple times during the legendary battle. But I don't believe there are any other ways to get his biometrics. He used to be available in one of the token shops, but I think they swapped him for She-Hulk, and that was kind of the end of the regular Hulk. But other than that, there really isn't much you can do. You can obviously use Shadowland bios to get Hulk, but I would imagine that having biometrics set up for new uniforms for at least one of these 4 characters is probably going to be a good idea. Now, whether for those players who have more resources available to you, I would not recommend using Mega Mythic uniform upgrade tickets or uniform upgrade tickets in general if you've won one from Battle World recently or something, because all of these characters are farmable. And although it is a lot of uniform upgrade kits, generally you want to save these items for rarer characters. I mean, Hulk is a better option than the other 3 characters because, at least for Hulk, you can't farm his bios, so you need to use items in general to get his bios. But specifically for Captain America, Iron Man, and Black Widow, if you can manage to save these items, it's a better option, it's a better choice than using them, because if we get a uniform for a rarer character, or for a paywall character in the future, like if Juggernaut gets a uniform, or Gambit, or one of the other paywalls, Ironheart, Carnage, those kinds of characters are the ones you want to use those tickets on. As far as what they can do for Hulk and what you can do for building him, I would probably recommend at least trying it to get him up to tier 2, obviously. As far as his gears go, I wouldn't necessarily pull the trigger on building up his gears, just because it's quite expensive, and we don't know how expensive Thanos is going to be. Hulk needs a lot of help, to be honest, to become a viable character worthy of tier 3. Now, Hulk fanboys aside, because they're just going to do it anyways, Hulk needs a lot. He not only needs a ton of damage, but he also needs effects. That's kind of a weird thing that they don't usually give very often to combat types. And if you can look or just imagine Wolverine, they didn't really give him anything that he didn't already have. His tier 3 skill does do a couple of different things. It's got accumulation, it's got some all defense down that doesn't work on World Boss, But as far as his skills go, with his new uniform, they only added one skill, Counter Slash, that actually introduces new mechanics or introduces any sort of new effect. And in general, that's kind of the problem with combat types. They have skills that deal damage, yes. They have high stats, yes. But they don't have any effects. They don't have any crowd control. They don't have penetration. They don't have these sorts of more powerful, healing. They don't have these sorts of more powerful meta effects. They usually have them on their passive, or they don't have them at all. Even self buffs are pretty rare for combat types. So besides the immunity, basically, if you ignore the fifth skill, all of Hulk's other skills have literally zero text. They're just attack skills. So on top of needing more damage, more base damage for his skills, Hulk is also going to need things like all defense down, or he's going to need lots of crowd control abilities, possibly fracture. He's going to need a better heal, because his heal is honestly not that impressive. 3% is worse than Juggernaut and Sabretooth, I believe, and it only triggers when he's below 90%, and it's got a 5-second cooldown. So there's lots of things that need to change for Hulk, not only offensively, but also kind of defensively. He does have a nice tier 2 passive, which is not going to change whether he has a uniform or not, but keep in mind, his heal comes from, like, the enhanced effect of Enrage comes from his uniform. So if they don't manage to buff this up, it might spell disaster for the character. So I'm not trying to say that Hulk is definitely headed for disaster. I just mean to say that the devs are going to need to look very carefully at Hulk in the way that they rework him with a new uniform, because he needs more help than some of these other characters need. Iron Man really just needs a shit ton more damage. That's the only thing that Iron Man needs if he gets a uniform. Hulk needs a lot more than that. Captain America really doesn't need a lot. If we're talking about a new uniform, maybe if they rework his tier 3 skill to make it less annoying to use, that's pretty much all he needs. A small damage bump and a change to the way that his tier 3 skill works, and Cap's pretty much set. Iron Man, multiply his damage by 500%, and he's pretty much all set. Black Widow is a little bit more of an issue, but Hulk, I think, the most has had a long history of bad reworks. His base kit sucked for the longest time. He got a villain uniform, which also sucked. He got another villain uniform, which is so iconic, and you know what? It also sucked. It took literally years, because I'm pretty sure he was a base character. So it took about 2.5 years before they finally got Hulk right. And then he was only in the meta for like a few months. So I am optimistic about Hulk, but I'm also, being realistic. Netmarble has not shown a good track record of being able to rework Hulk properly and combat types in general. Lately, they've been very good at it with, the 3 that we got and Minerva before that, but, kind of balance things out and remember the past, as well as hopefully looking forward to the future. I don't know what kind of corny shit that was, but hopefully it helps you with Hulk and with your expectations. So let me know what you guys think of the event quest. Let me know what you think of the kind of surprise, I would say, for the event shop. If you had asked me who's going to be here, I would have probably said Hawkeye and maybe Hulk. I would never have guessed Captain America. I probably wouldn't have guessed Iron Man, maybe Black Widow. So I'm personally surprised. Hit me up in the comments with what you think. Hit me up on Twitter if you have questions. Subscribe if you enjoy the content and you want to support me, yada, yada, yada. If you enjoy what you see, I hope to see you again tomorrow. Take care.